Hello, I'm Beth. Welcome to this yoga video. This is part of my V.I.P yoga series, which is variations for individualized practice. That means a yoga practice customized to you. So this will be a tutorial type video, and we're going to focus on just one pose. That pose will be a supported rest pose, or sometimes called supported Shavasana. We'll use lots of props to show how we can find the best version of this pose for your body, making it the version of this pose that helps you feel comfortable, that helps you relax, that helps you soften, let go, do nothing as you give your body the gift of rest. So we start by gathering some props. As we customize poses, we need props to help us do that. I have a chair here. I have a blanket on my chair. I have several other blankets. I have a bolster and blocks. You might also want a stool of different heights. That's the first thing we'll play with is the heights, how that affects our lower body, and then we'll add a few more options. So gather your props around and let's get started. We'll start with the chair. Now we'll be resting our shins on the prop, so we want to find a comfortable height. I want to show you some ways to customize that and figure that out with yourself, for yourself. So I have a blanket on my chair just to soften the chair. I'm going to scooch my bottom pretty close to the chair and swing my shins onto the chair. So as soon as we get here, we'll just see how it feels. Now you can see that my knees are at pretty much a 90-degree angle. That suggests that this is a comfortable height for my leg length. And again, everybody is going to be different on that. I can tuck my toes through the back of the chair so that that doesn't bother me. I've done this supported rest on the chair before, and it feels like a pretty good height for me. It may not for you, depending on what kind of chair you have. So we're going to explore a few other options. To come out of this, you just take your knees away, draw them to your chest, roll to one side, and help yourself up. So the next option, I have a chest here. I'll try the chest, and I might take the same blanket and put it over the chest. Swing my body close to it so that my shins come on top. That feels pretty good too. So that's a different height. My shins aren't quite as propped up. It feels pretty restful to me. So if you have a stool or a chest or something, a small table, a coffee table of a lower height, a couch even, you can try that. And I'll show you one more stool that I have, and I'll also then show you another option where you can create your prop. So same thing, swing your legs over. I'm going to come over to this side. I'll bring my blanket with me. And this is a thin blanket that just adds a little bit of cushioning under the legs. So here I have a small step stool. And I can put the blanket right over top of that. This is probably a similar height to my chest, but in case you don't have a chest, if you can see how you can just use any object that you have around your house. Now my feet are hanging off a little bit here. I like them better supported when I was on the chest or the chair. You might find that this works perfectly fine for you, and maybe it even feels good to have your feet hanging off. So that's fine if that works for you. All right, I'm going to roll back this way, and then I'll show you one more option where we can kind of create the prop, and then we'll play around with some different ways to do it. So if you just don't have a chair that seems right, you don't have a chest, you don't have anything else that seems to work, you can create your own. Now I have yoga blocks and a yoga bolster. You can do this with a book, a cushion from your couch, anything that works. We're going to build what's sometimes called Stonehenge. Put the blocks or the books so that they're pretty strongly supported. They face up. And then I'll take my bolster and place that right on top. Now this feels a little wobbly, but when my legs get up there, it will be less wobbly. And I find that having the blocks or whatever you're using about the same width apart as your legs is a good option, because then you can put your legs right on top. So this time I don't really need the blanket because I already have this nice cushy bolster. I'm going to swing myself up. And this feels really nice. Another really nice place to rest. So those are your options for how to set the rest up. And now we're going to play around with a couple different things that you can add. If you don't want to add anything else, if you've gotten into one of these positions and you feel like, wow, this is super comfortable and I can rest here, go ahead and stay in that place for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, as long as you have. It's a wonderful place to let go, to release the front parts, the front muscles of your hips, your hip flexors that work pretty hard all day. You can let go here as a great release for the back. All right, rolling back to you. So the first thing that can make this rest a little bit more supportive, and I'm going to continue to use my chair, is to add not just a blanket on the chair, but something under your bottom for a little more support. Just going to knock down my Stonehenge out of the way. So I've got a couple other blankets here. I'm going to take this blanket. This is pretty soft. It's got a little bit of height, maybe a couple of inches, and I'll place it right here. I'll place my other blanket back on the chair for comfort. So this is going to support under my pelvis, and especially if you're on a hard surface, that can be really good. But the other thing it's going to do is elevate the hips just slightly higher than my heart, which can really aid in the relaxation effect. Now, as always, once you get there, you have to test and see how it feels for you. You might have to adjust the prop. In this case, I'm going to move the blanket a little bit lower so it's really supporting my sacrum, which is that bony part at the bottom of the spine, and the backs of my hips and pelvis, and not really in my waist. I want my waist, my lower ribs to be more relaxed and free to shift down to the ground. So I feel really good here. I could stay. I still want to show you a couple of more things before we end. So I'm going to come down. Now you can keep that blanket there. I'm going to move it away because I'll use that blanket for something else just to show you another option. I have another blanket that is folded in a long fold, sort of a rectangular fold. This is going to be to add something to the chair and also to provide a little wrap for the shins. So I'll show you how that works. You take your long rectangular fold and you place it over whatever prop you're using, whether it's a lower stool or a chair, whatever. It works on everything. You come back into your position. And then before you go all the way down, you flip either side of the blanket over. Now this might not stay. If I had something else, I could grab it and put it on top. You might need an even longer blanket than I had there, so mine's not staying. Once you get it to stay and you can put a little book or something else on top, then you have your legs wrapped. Your legs can release into those. I actually really like a sandbag on top if you happen to have a sandbag or some other little bit of a light weight to rest on your shins. Can help make this more comfortable. So the last thing that we're going to look at is the position of the head. So I'm going to look toward the ceiling and you can look and see where my chin is positioned in relation to my chest. I think my chin is pretty straight up, maybe a slight back tilt. So when the chin is tilted away from the chest, it can feel straining on the front of the throat, on the neck, and it's more relaxing for the body when the chin is just slightly tilted toward the chest. So here's where we're going to add this blanket under my head. And I'm just going to unwrap it a little bit. And I'll try to find a spot. I might even take a little roll under my neck. So hopefully you can see that difference. Now there's just a slight tilt of my chin down toward my chest. So before I end, I'll just unwrap the blanket to give you a better sense of that blanket roll. So let's do a longer version of the blanket. A little bit longer, blanket rolling 101 in yoga. Back to one side and then the longer side across. There we go. Back down to my roll. Here's where I absolutely can stay. So this is what I'm hoping for you, that you find your spot where you can stay. That once you get into it, maybe you wiggle around, maybe you figure out what needs to change, what needs to shift, what needs to be a little bit more comfortable for you. Once you do that, you find that spot and you stay as long as you'd like. And you use this as a chance to rest anytime you need it. At the end of a yoga practice, at the end of a workout, at the end of a long day, or in the middle of the day too. So I'll come up one last time, scooching out of my little blanket roll, unfortunately, because it was pretty comfortable and cozy. This has been part of the V.I.P yoga series. Again, really short tutorials giving you more information about how to make the practice your practice. If you want to see more of that, I'll link to that right up here. Check out my other videos. Comment below if you have any questions or want to see me break down any other pose. Thanks for joining me today.